Samupe, Sampadia, Chimafidi non kotu, era one radio. Samupe, Jumpadia, Chimafidi non kotu, era one radio. Oh, and you punctua, Asam punctua.
Good evening, Era One radio listeners and viewers all over the world. Of course, let me just remind you, today is Saturday, the 8th day of June 2024. Saturdays are precious days because it's the day after Friday where most of us work Monday through Friday, except those who have different schedules. You work Monday through Friday, so it's assumed that Saturday is when you do everything. You do your laundries, you go do your groceries and everything. And Sunday, you go to church for those who do most Islam for Fridays. But then most Christians do their church service on Sundays, and especially for those who are also the Saturday worshippers. So Saturday is a very busy day. I'm saying all this because I don't want to take things for granted. Neither do I want to take anybody for granted. So for Dr. Oloyede to spare his Saturday when he could have gone grocery shopping, taking the family out, taking the wifey on the date and all that, and sparing an evening like this to be with us, it's a lot of sacrifice. I think it goes both ways. Both of us have to sacrifice. So, Doc, I really appreciate your time on behalf of Era One. So thank you very much for making another hour of your Saturday to be with us, because 6 o'clock to 7 is a very holy hour. Because if you were to do something in the afternoon, maybe from 2 or 3, then it drags into the evening. So you can't even think about 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. But to allot 6 to 7 p.m. just to be with us and help us sacrifice to teach us all these healthy tips is mostly appreciated. So thank you very much for your time. All right. We are broadcasting again on Era One. The show is Health is Wealth. This is where we believe in the notion that if you are healthy, if you're a healthy person, then you are actually worthy, because then you don't spend too much of your paycheck buying medications or seeing the doctor. Now insurance is very expensive. So take good care of your health. Prevention has always been, and it will always be, better than cure. This is the Health is Wealth show, broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, and also Modern Ghana Radio. If you want to call in, which we do propose you do, is 240-280-2633. And if you are texting, it's 510-931-0946. Again, I have the pleasure of having Dr. Babatunde Oloyede in the hot seat. This is a U.S. Public Health Service commander. He's in charge of the chemistry department in the Federal Chemistry Lab in Baton, North Carolina. So he is a guru in chemistry. We don't take his knowledge for granted at all. So it's a pleasure, Doc, having you in the studio again. You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
All right. Any updates you want to share with us?
Really, I mean, we are going to start encouraging people to keep on with their health and do whatever is possible, to maybe a little bit at a time. If you don't want to do it one time, you can, spread it out. Make sure you take care of yourself. Exercise. I remember when I was talking to you earlier, you say you're going to the gym.
Are you doubting me?
help yourself, and also ensure that you keep the consistency. That's what makes it worthwhile, because health is wealth, as they say, and we should, especially we from African descent, we have a lot of things that is against our health, because once we eat, your body starts manifesting in certain ways. So we have to take care of our body. All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, sir. I almost said amen, which is not inappropriate anywhere. Yeah, it's good. All right. So I don't know whether we have any birthday shout outs. Today is 8th of June. I remember a friend of mine's daughter, Jada, celebrated her birthday yesterday. So Jada, down wherever you are, happy belated birthday. And if anybody wants to give a shout out to a friend or relative, you can text it in, and I'll do well to give it a shout out on your behalf. So if you have a birthday, if you have anything, we can do that here. I mean, we celebrate people. All right, so we're going to zoom in into our study. For some time now, I think we started with our numbers. And by now, you should know that numbers has a critical a role to play in our lives. For those of you who don't like maths, begin to think that math is very important. When we say know your numbers, if you go to your doctor and they say, okay, first thing they do is they do your vital start, science, whatever recordings, they have to put you on the scale to weigh you, check your weight, your height, although the height after certain age doesn't go any further again. You get stuck, but then they take your vital signs, they find out your systolic and diastolic, the blood pressure. You have to make sure you have certain range on top and certain range on the bottom. If there's any deviation, then it sends signals to your doctor that there's something going on. So numbers are very important. You want to also know the ranges. We've done that already. We've discussed the ranges. What is your sodium level, and what is the ranges that you're supposed to be? What is the minimum and the max? So these are all mathematical expressions. So in life, science is very important. English is very important for you to read, or any other language that you have to study your reading. So English is good, mathematics is good, science is good. So these are all parameters, disciplines that we need to become what we are. And so if you are taking certain courses, there are some requirements that you have to fulfill to be able to graduate. So we started with know your numbers, and this is because it's not only the doctors who are able to take care of you. Most people think that the doctor is the only magician that brings about good health, but then you have to know that behind the scenes, the people who are working for the doctor that you don't see is the lab technologists or medical technology. They are the ones running your samples, your urine, your blood, and telling the doctor that this patient has this amount of potassium in their blood and all that. And based on that, the doctors can say, okay, this is a diagnosis that you're going through. If you go to the hospital and you're having a running stomach, it's not just because of the food you ate. There are other things going on. So they have to run a battery of tests to be able to say, okay, this is the reason why you are going through this. So these lab technicians, technologists, medical lab people are very crucial and very important. So when it's lab week, take a minute to appreciate them, just like two of us. All right, so we went into the numbers, and last week we did Dr. Oluyede led us through the hormones, growth hormones. I think we started with the pituitary gland and the hormone and all that. Today we are looking at growth hormones. And this is very interesting. It's a very interesting topic because the growth hormones are very important. Sometimes you get to a certain age and your body refuses to grow. For instance, when I got to like 5'6", I think Doc is about 5'8" or 5 now. I don't know. I don't remember his height anymore. But when I got to 5'6", my body told me I can't go beyond that. Whether I eat bokoto 1 pound or I eat rice or jollof, the height is not going to increase. It's stuck there. I can't do anything about it. I've been trying to go to gym. There's some machine in the gym that when you stand on, it raises your shoulder. So it gives you the fake impression that you are going to get taller. I've been trying to work that thing out. It doesn't go anywhere. So growth hormone is very important. It has the ability to determine how high you can go or how your weight, your height can be. So that's one thing that Dr. Oluyede is going to help us to go through today. All right, so talking about growth, what is that? Well, the roles of growth hormone include influencing our height and helping build our bones and muscles. Natural levels of growth hormone fluctuate during the day, seemingly influenced by physical activity. So, for example, levels rise when we exercise. Growth hormone levels increase during childhood and peak during puberty. So this is something I gathered from the World Wide Web. But we have an expert here who can teach us better what the growth hormone does and what it's all about. So as usual, I'm going to leave over the reins here, and Dr. Oluyede will pick up and take us through the growth hormones even as we tackle them to the Doc. It's all yours.
Thank you so much, Dr. Boysen.
You're welcome.
Yes, let's start with the introduction. But before I do that, a little disclaimer. This is not, I'm not representing any governmental organization, or I've collected money from anyone I know to present this topic. All right, so we're going to go through the agenda. We're going to talk a little bit about the information we want to pass across, the introduction, what we need to know, normal ranges, related diseases, then, of course, and finally, we'll talk about final tips and takeaway.
All right, sir.
All right, growth hormone. Introduction. Now, human growth hormone, that is what is called HGH. HGH, also known as somatotrophin, is a natural hormone that is made from your pituitary gland and releases that to promote growth in children. And of course, when the children grow adults, once the growth plates in your bones, which is called epiphysis, once that thing is fused, when that thing is fused, that's it. I remember Dr. Charles was talking to you about when he got to a certain
Dr. Lewis, I see your line is breaking a little bit. See if you can fix
Okay,
it.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think you had a little break.
Okay. So once the growth plates in your bones, which is called epiphysis,
yeah, see if you can check your internet quickly. Let me do a little commercial. Check your internet and see, because there's a little bit of break in between.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello, beautiful people of Ghana. This is Vanahime Specialist Hospital. We are so excited to announce to our people Ghana that we are finally opened and we are accepting patients. At Vanahime Specialist Hospital, our extraordinary physicians and nurses are here to provide a high quality medical service to our extraordinary patients. Our services include primary care services, maternal, neonatal, and pediatric services. We also have an in-house pharmacy. We have x-ray and laboratory services available to you. Come to us for all your healthcare needs and you will be happy you did, because we believe the health is wealth. Thank you and stay blessed.
Okay.
All right.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's go back, because I need people to capture this introduction very well, because that is what we're going to be building upon. So human growth hormone, which is also called HGH, somatotrophin, is a natural hormone that comes from your body and from the pituitary gland, that makes it and also releases it to many parts of the body to promote growth in children. So once the growth plate, which is called epiphysis, like I said earlier, fused, because Dr. Poison was saying that when it got to a certain age, it stopped, the height, stop at a point. Because when that epiphysis fused, then the growth stops. HGH no longer increases height at that point. But your body still needs HGH, which is called the human growth hormone. The body still needs it because some of other parts of the body needs to grow. Your muscles, your heart, and also other things in the body that still needs to grow. For example, look at your hand. For example, you see your hands, you see your fingers. See, your fingers were not like this when you were a little kid. So of course they have to grow. So those are some of the things that your HGH will be doing once your epiphysis stop. Also, it also helps to maintain normal body structure and metabolism, like I said, including helping to keep your blood sugar level at the point that is normal, within the healthy range. So we need to keep an eye on that. All right. So the pituitary gland, remember that structure I gave to us last week at the base of the brain? That's where your pituitary gland is. So it's what is actually at the stalk of blood vessels that comes out of it, and also nerves. It supplies all those areas. This is called the pituitary stalk. That is that area that supplies blood to every part of the base of your brain, goes backwards to the nerves. So your hypothalamus is the part of your brain that controls function like blood pressure, heart rate, body temperature, and digestion. Through the stalk, your hypothalamus communicates with your pituitary gland and tells it to release certain hormones, which HGH is one of it. In this case, your hypothalamus releases growth hormone, releasing hormone, which is called GHRH, which is growth hormone releasing hormone, which stimulates your pituitary gland to release human growth hormone, or otherwise called somatostatin, which prevents that release. So once that one is produced, is not going to stop, the GHRH, which makes it normal. Because once it start producing like that, as it's not stopping, and somebody is having an issue, that might be a cancerous stage. So you want to make sure that you keep an eye on that, or maybe when the result is high. We're going to get into that in a minute. So healthcare providers use a synthetic form of HGH, sometimes called recombinant HGH, to treat certain health conditions, including growth hormone deficiency. So when some people don't have enough, you see that your healthcare provider might try to encourage you to take, the growth hormone. This one is a synthetic type that it will now inject to that individual to help that individual, to normalize whatever the problem is. You should never.
Is there any age limit at which it wouldn't work, or it's just universal? It works at any time.
It works at any time, depending on how you react to it. This is a synthetic product, and a synthetic product is actually fashioned in a way that is going to mimic the original version of it.
Because the reason I asked that was that I read about Messi, the soccer football star, or the soccer star Messi.
Yeah.
I hear him when he was growing up. I think he was very little, so they had to take him to play for Barcelona. So they had to take him, and then they provided some of those growth hormone for him to get a little taller. So I don't know whether it's something all of us can go and get some.
As long as the epiphysis has not fused. Once the epiphysis fused, there's little or nothing that they can do about it. Because if even if you use the synthetic HGH, which is the human growth hormone, the synthetic type, what it's going to do is, if the epiphysis are stopped, what it's going to do is that you now see that instead of growing vertical, it will now be growing horizontal.
Oh, really?
It increases your body mass, and also you see that exactly. So you don't want that. That is why you just disfigure the individual, because there's nothing your bone will not be able to adjust if the epiphysis has already fused. It's like trying to yank bone out of the dog mouth, because if the thing is already in there, there's nothing you can do about it. You just have to maintain it, and also and it's very good. It's a good advice for you to do while the person is young, before they reach certain age, especially before they reach like age 18 and above. Once they hit that age, the epiphysis has stopped, has fused. You don't, at least because it is going to disrupt their growth pattern. So like I was saying, you should never take a synthetic HGH without a prescription. I know some people might try, like you said, they might try to prescribe it for themselves so that they can grow taller, or they want to be a basketball player now. They want to start. But meanwhile, those basketball players that you see outside there, some of them, they've signed them up since when they were in high school. So anything they are going to do with them, whether they want them to be taller or they want them to be bigger, they start, administering some of those things to them at that point, so that it won't be at a later stage. So when you see them tall, like 10 foot or maybe 7'8", you know that they are coming from somewhere. They've been injecting them with growth hormone, and this is what is something that you can even see on the internet. This is what they do to all the footballers too,
Hmm.
for them to get great muscles, in order for them to be able to do whatever they have to do to their opponents. So
And
we should.
is that legal for athletics?
Well, for athletics, I think that is something that they have to sign, and they
Okay.
don't forget that they have clinician that works with them. They have they call them there's a particular name they call them, and they
So
are always there. They are sports. Their own is sports medicine.
and
What they
that's
study
different
in
from
school is
steroids.
sports medicine.
This is different,
Yeah,
totally different from steroids.
it's different from steroids. This
Oh,
one is
okay.
totally different from steroids.
Okay.
These people, they study sports medicine in detail and how to administer certain drugs, medications to their elite club to help them win the opponent. So they'll
Okay.
go at any length to help them to build their muscle and also to help them through injuries.
Okay.
I was reading one time ago, that was a long time ago, that somebody fell while they were, playing that sport. And you
Hmm.
can imagine, within 15 to 20 minutes, he came back again. I mean, naturally, somebody that was hit like that and he was down, even convulsed, you would think that they're supposed to take him to
Hospital or something, emergency.
they put him on the side, gave him the treatment, and they asked him to go back.
Wow.
Because the winning of that, and that's their focus. Their focus is to win, and their focus is to maintain their players to ensure that they win that game. So that's why they have been paid multi-million dollars.
That's
So don't let us get carried away with that. So
all right.
So normal ranges. Okay, for adults, assign male at birth. Let's put that there so that it will be the first was assigned a male at birth. Someone that has a different gender now at this point. Somebody that was assigned male at 0.4 to 10 nanograms per milliliter, or 18 to 44 picomoles per liter. For adults assigned female at this person was born female, 1 to 14 nanograms per milliliter, or 44 to 616 picomole per liter. Now for children, 10 to 50 nanograms per milliliter, or 440 to 200 picomole per liter. So we can see that the growth hormone, actually, you see the children, their hormone is way, way high compared to normal
adults.
Exactly. And if you now have a child that has a very low value, there's a problem somewhere. So they need to help that child at that point.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned for adults assigned. The word is assigned, your natural gender. So for those who cross over transgender, which means are they going to get a hybrid resource?
That's the reason why I put it there like that, so that at least that is left alone for research output right now. So recent studies should not give us new reference ranges for people that are not assigned
natural
male
gender
or female at birth. Are you with me?
That's interesting. Yeah.
So we should have new reference ranges now that says not assigned. I said, scientists should be cautious of those, because if someone look at his result now and say, oh, it should be 0.4 to 10 nanograms. My question would be, are you assigned male at birth? And if you are assigned male at birth, then your values should be within that range. But if you are male at birth, you are female, you should have 44 to 616 picomoles per liter, or 1 to 14 grams per meal, which is different from the one for males. So that is why when you are interpreting this result, you should be sure of who you are dealing with,
Exactly.
so that you don't misinterpret the result. I just want to make that clear so that we don't get ourselves confused.
Sure.
All right. So normal value ranges may vary from lab to lab. Of course, we talked about this also last week, depending on the population that they use for the study. Be sure to have a reference value from your lab, normal range on your lab report when analyzing your results. So whatever you use, some by that values that they are using, they should be able to interpret it with a reference range that is peculiar to that area. So, for example, I cannot be using the reference range they use now from Mayo Clinic. Mayo Clinic, whatever group of studies that they might be peculiar to their area. Now, for North Carolina here, we have also some reputable institutions like Duke, UNC, and some other places. So whatever reference they are using around this area should be what you two use in your lab. You should be able to see what the variable is. That is why it is very important you have a reference range, because you cannot just interpret the result without a reference range. And that is why that one is there. If you have any question about your results, talk to your healthcare provider. It's very important so that you don't misinterpret the result.
That's true.
Now go to human growth hormone deficiency in adults. So when adults have a lack of this hormone, it causes the following issues: reduced sense of well-being, increased body fat, increased risk of heart disease, weak heart, weak muscles, and weak bones. In adults, hypopituitarism, which we talked a little bit about last week because of the TSH, that results in AGH deficiency may develop due to a benign, which is a pituitary adenoma, non-cancerous tumor. This may be a damaged pituitary gland of the individual or the hypothalamus. So this is what can cause the deficiency of the human growth hormone. Okay. Then we'll see this in children. If you have the human growth hormone in children, a lack of this in children will result to poor growth. The main sign of this deficiency in children is slow height, like I said earlier. Because when you are looking at this, you are looking at the child and you say, at this age, it should be high, at least your height should be more than this. What's going on?
Yeah.
That is why you have to pay close attention. You have to report that immediately and let them start helping that child. So the main sign of HGH deficiency in children is slow height growth each year after a child's third birth. So after age 3, and you are still seeing the child is still looking like, what's wrong with you? You want to you have to pay close attention to that individual. This means they grow less than about 1.4 inches in height a year. And that is why it should be noticeable, and you should report that to the healthcare provider. A child with AGA deficiency may also have delayed puberty, a younger looking face than what's expected for their age. They may look so young in their face, but the body is growing. Children hypopituitarism that results in AGA deficiency may be present from birth, where the cause can be unknown, idiopathic, where they may not know the reason why this person is not growing, and the genetic formation or due to injury to their gland during fetal development or at birth. So that might be injury they sustain during birth that actually result into that. Impaired hair growth. Some people you see them, they are very young chap, is losing his hair already. It's not growing properly. So children can also develop hypopituitarism due to damage to their pituitary gland or hypothalamus later in life. Maybe they sustain head injury later in life that actually cause the hypothalamus to be injured or the pituitary gland to be injured. Or maybe during, it could be during any of those surgical interventions. So that should also be taken into consideration. So what happens when human growth hormone levels are too high? What happens? What happens? The main condition associated with higher than normal level of this is called acromegaly. Though it affects adults and children differently, it's a rare condition. So this acromegaly is when you have the higher level of human growth hormone in an individual. And I'm going to go through that, shortly. When you have this in children, a lack of this in children results in poor growth. Like I said earlier, then I want to say when it's higher like that, acromegaly in adults. Acromegaly in adults with acromegaly usually have enlarged or swollen hands and feet and other facial features. So you see them, their fingers are too long. You see their face looks so wide. The jaw looks funny. Feet is bigger, and other, facial features. Adults with acromegaly can also have thickened bones and enlarged organs and are more likely to have conditions such as high blood pressure, which is called hypertension, type 2 diabetes, and heart disease. Then they say over 99% of acromegaly cases are due to pituitary adenomas. So the pituitary gland is what is actually secreting that is like, instead of it to be normal, it's now secreting more of the growth hormone. And that is why exactly in excess. And that's why they say it's a non-cancerous tumor of the pituitary gland. These tumors can produce excess amount of HGH. Acromegaly is more common after middle age, like that person has passed middle age, when growth is complete. So when growth is complete, now you now see that the growth hormone is now being in excess. So what will the body be doing? So the thing will now be shooting out in other places. And that is why you see it's called the acromegaly, because the body cannot condone it anymore. You have an excess growth of different, features of the body.
And this has nothing to do with giantism, huh? Like we say.
No. Those ones are different. This one is just a disease condition.
Oh, okay.
Anomaly, because the person has already completed their growth, but for any reason, the pituitary gland has what is called non-cancer. It's non-cancer, but it's a tumor. It's producing more of human growth hormone. What would the human growth hormone now do? Is to help the other parts of the body to grow. And that is why you have acromegaly. Okay. So it's not that you are getting any taller. Instead, their bones can become thicker. So the bones become thicker and the hands are becoming larger than what it's supposed to look like. So, well, in children, it's a different case. In children, very rarely though, it doesn't occur often in children. Children can experience elevated growth hormone levels before they reach their final height, which can lead to excessive growth of long bones and very tall height. See the way it affects the children. This condition is called pediatric acromegaly, but it's sometimes called gigantism in children. If left untreated, children with acromegaly, for example, you can see a girl or a boy of 10 years old looking like someone that is 25 or 30 something. Children with acromegaly usually grow to be 7 feet tall or taller. You can imagine somebody that is 10 years old is like 7 feet already. Okay, by the time he's 30, maybe what were you expecting? So that's why
It's good thing that high stopped going somewhere.
they should do something early on. So children with acromegaly may also have general weakness, delayed puberty, and also headaches. Headaches, oftentimes. Pituitary adenomas are usually the cause of pediatric acromegaly. So, like I said earlier, pituitary adenomas, which is non-cancerous tumor in the pituitary gland, is what causes excess production of this human growth hormone. So how is high HGH used as medication? You asked that question earlier. And the U.S. Food and Drug Administration has approved the synthetic form of HGH for the treatment of certain conditions. The synthetic form of HGH is available only by prescription and is injected. In children, healthcare providers prescribe HGH to treat growth hormone deficiency, conditions that cause short stature, such as chronic kidney disease, Turner syndrome, and Prader-Willi syndrome. In adults, providers prescribe HGH to treat growth hormone deficiency, loss of muscle tissue from HIV. Now, we are taught long time ago that these athletes, they use this, they use that to help them during their whatever activities they are involved in. But we have been told here that the pain is also used as medication. So if it's being used as medication, that means it has to be prescribed. According to FDA, they say if it's synthetic type, it needs to be prescribed, and it also needs to be injectable. So you can't just buy it from pharmacy now and say you want to swallow it. It's going to be, that's a different route of it, and it's not approved. It's not approved for that. It's only approved exactly. It's not approved oral, intake. It has to be injected. So when people know this, they will know who is quack and who is real. Because when you go to a clinician and he's prescribing something to you that you have to go and swallow it, you say, wait a minute. Is it not supposed to be injectable?
Injected, okay.
Exactly. So you need to know that whoever is prescribing this thing to you, that you have a prior knowledge of what you are expecting, helps you a lot, to be able to absorb the information and also make use of it. Because some people might not know that you have to inject it and that they are looking for it in pharmacy for them to go and swallow it. It's a different, medication you are looking for. So follow whatever they ask you to follow, and please make sure that you abide by what your clinician or your healthcare provider is prescribing for you. All right. What test measures HGH levels? What test? Your healthcare provider can order a series of blood tests to check your HGH levels if you are experiencing symptoms related to HGH issues. Your pituitary gland normally releases HGH into your bloodstream in pulses throughout the day and night, with peaks that occur mostly during the night. Okay? Because of this, a single blood test to measure HGH measurement is difficult to interpret, and it's not usually medically useful. So you see that. So it's going to be unreasonable for you to just collect one sample and say, okay, because at that point in time that you are taking that blood sample might not be the best time, because it goes up and down depending on how the pituitary gland is secreting into the body and how the body is reacting to it. So that is why when you want to measure human growth hormone, you specify different times of the day for it to be collected, so that we now find the mean values of all those that you've collected. So providers most often use procedure called growth hormone stimulation and suppression test, you see, like I said earlier, to diagnose condition caused by HGH deficiency or excess. So when you have a stimulation test, something to stimulate it, they will give that individual something to stimulate the growth hormone production, and they will now during that time frame, or they will use something to suppress it so that it release, and also they will take blood sample during that time. Then they will now compare the result to each other. They may also order a blood test that measures the amount of insulin-like growth factor 1, IGF-1, in your blood. So that insulin type of hormone is also in your body already. So they might try to look at that too by collecting your sample to measure the amount of insulin-like growth factor in your body already. So it's either they take that or they do the suppression and stimulation test. So those are the two areas that they use in ensuring that the values that you have is actually coming from you. It's not coming from, the desired way of the pituitary gland, the way it's acting. Because sometimes when they want to collect the sample, they might say, okay, the pituitary gland is secreting this hormone. It's in excess. So how do we suppress it so that we know if really is the pituitary gland that has problem, or is another thing that is being measured? So what they do is, like I explained earlier, is either they stimulate the pituitary gland, so it will tell the hypothalamus to secrete more of the growth hormone, or they suppress it and now draw the blood sample just to know what is in the system already. Then compare to what is now stimulated by, asking the pituitary gland to now start producing again and see the difference. So it's a very, and you have to master those timing, because if you miss that time, then
you got a false results.
Then you won't be able to get a good result. So it's very interesting. And that is how, you end up with those values that we saw earlier. Okay.
Somebody is asking, can I go to jail for using the growth hormones? I guess it depends on what age.
It depends on what age, and it depends on if your clinician prescribe it for you. You can't go to jail, because if it's like I said earlier, FDA approves it, but it needs to be prescribed. If it's prescribed to you and you have your prescription, I mean, that's the evidence that's a clinician or your exactly prescribe it for you. And there must be a dosage, and there must be from what time to what time, that is description. I mean, the prescription is good for. Now, if you are taking it after the prescription time, then you might likely go to jail, because you are not under that prescription anymore. Wow. So you cannot just go to the pharmacy now and say you want to collect growth hormone. No, it has to be prescribed, and there must be a date, start date and the end date on it. Okay. If not, some people will be using it for other things. Yeah. So what are the side effects of this synthetic HGH? Somebody might ask, what are the side effects? The use of synthetic HGH for medical treatment can cause certain side effects, including carpal tunnel syndrome. Some people might think it's only when they type for so long that is when they have carpal tunnel syndrome. No, if you are using synthetic HGH, one of the side effects is carpal tunnel syndrome, swelling in your arms and legs, edema. That's also a side effect. Joint and muscle pain, because of course your bone is trying to stretch itself beyond normal. That's what the synthetic HGH, that's what it's for. Increased insulin resistance. So it can also affect your insulin to be resistant, or type 2 diabetes, which means it can, develop into type 2 diabetes. Enlargement of breast tissue in people assigned male at birth. You see that? Okay. Enlargement of breast tissue. Then some people use it for enlargement of breast tissue.
Wow.
so that their breast will be enlarged,
The
you
volume.
know, for some reason, gynecomastia. That's what that's called. Some people are used.
We blame that on the men. Some of the men that want big breasts, so they instigate the women.
That's what it is. That's why they are using it for them. You go to California now, you see some people that looks like, some people that were assigned female at now they are now, having some. I mean, some people that were assigned male at birth now having some features that looks like people that were assigned female at birth.
Watermelon,
yes, watermelon size of breast tissue. So increased risk of certain cancer if you are using this synthetic HGH. Researchers don't have enough information about the long-term effects of HGH treatment. So it has not been really studied, and for long-term effects, the researchers are not really aware of what is going to happen. But right now, the side effects that you can expect are the ones that I've listed here. And we've seen swelling in your arms and legs, carpal tunnel syndrome, joint and muscle pain, increased insulin resistance. And then some people, you might be wondering, why is the insulin they are giving them is not working? So this is one of the side effects. If they are using HGH, the insulin might not be working. All right. And the enlargement of breast, of course, that we mentioned. And that will be it. Stand here to receive any comment, feedbacks, or questions. And of course, that's the references.
Oh, okay. There's a question that came in, and somebody was asking if this hormone can help somebody to grow taller after 30. But I think you did already answer that. After 20s or 21s, there's no probability of growing any taller. There's an age limit. You cannot keep growing taller. Otherwise, people will become 21 feet tall and all that. So I think you answered that it has an age limit.
The epiphysis has fused. If your epiphysis has fused, that's it. Unless you want to grow, you will be growing horizontally, not vertically anymore.
Okay. And so if you are prescribed that medication and for some reason you stop taking it, what becomes of you? I mean,
well, you remember I said earlier, your pituitary gland is being stimulated when you take that medication. It goes there to stimulate it, because the reason why the person is not growing is because the pituitary gland is not stimulating enough growth hormone. So when you not take that medication, it tells the pituitary gland to start stimulating growth hormone. Okay. And through the hypothalamus, you now start seeing the effects in other parts of the body. But what happens is when the epiphysis has fused already, there's nothing, you won't be able to grow vertically. I mean, the bones will not be able to stretch out on their own because they are fused already. What will happen is you now start seeing longer fingers, the people will be gaining weight, and maybe the facial structure and all that. But for the person to now start growing up, because the epiphysis has fused already, it won't be able to grow up, but will be growing, sideways. And that will be really funny. But some people are using it, just to help them, but you want to make sure that you don't where people want to use it to start, increasing their height. By all means, a limit to what the body can take. Your body cannot take some kind of your health. Because you start taking your pituitary gland is telling it needs to get this to all the areas of the body, and it also affects your heart. Increases with growth hormone increase, your heart rate increases, and also your muscles to also build, like I said earlier, for the athletes. So you are using it, but it's also doing some other things in your body. It's not necessarily for growth only. So, but people should be aware that if your epiphysis and also if you have children that is they are still growing, If the epiphysis has fused, don't even bother. But of course, you can use other medication by discussing with your clinician, to help in other situations. But don't take it because you want to grow taller. That may not work.
Said I don't know. Thank you very much. Well, I just want to add that I think vitamin D is also very essential for nutrients,
for bones
calcium,
growth.
calcium and bone,
Calcium and
homeostasis growth. So it's very good for those of you who lack vitamin D. And even apart from getting it from a prescription, vitamin D can be found even in the sun. Exposing yourself to a little bit of moderate sun helps in your body processing or synthesizing vitamin D with the sun. So it's also very important. Well, I think that's about all the questions we have for tonight. Thank you very much, Doc. We appreciate, although our internet service today wasn't too strong, so we had a little bit of glitches, but then the message
back and forth.
But the good thing is that the message still came across. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next time here. I just want to remind that those of you who still don't have my book, this is not on growth hormone, but it's really good for curbing obesity, relationship between family income and obesity. Go to Amazon and order yourself a copy, and for a friend, it's only $10. You'll be helping somebody. I'm sure Doc might be writing a new book on growth hormone very soon, so we'll be laughing when his book is ready. All right, Doc, thank you very much. On this note, I'll just maybe bring one of my arts quickly, and then we'll call it a night after that. All right, so stay tuned.
Hello, beautiful people of Ghana. This is Vanahime Specialist Hospital. We are so excited to announce to our people Ghana that we are finally opened and we are accepting patients. At Vanahime Specialist Hospital, our extraordinary physicians and nurses are here to provide a high-quality medical service to our extraordinary patients. Our services include primary care services, maternal, neonatal, and pediatric services. We also have an in-house pharmacy. We have X-ray and laboratory services available to you. Come to us for all your healthcare needs, and you will be happy you did, because we believe the health is wealth. Thank you, and stay blessed.
Well, we've been listening to us, Dr. Babatunde Oloyede, and myself, Charles Boyson, on this show tonight. We looked at our numbers. I don't know whether you've done your annual physical or medical examination. I have done mine. I know what my numbers are. I know what to improve, what to stop eating, and what to modify. So please, we advise you to do the same. If you haven't done your annual checkup, we are in June. Please schedule with your PCM, your provider, and make sure you are getting your numbers known. Get your blood drawn and let them tell you your sodium level, your potassium level, your blood pressure. And all those are very important because they all contribute to a good health. If you want to stay longer, you have to know this number. People that just don't die. People die because things have been going on in their body for maybe days, years before it surfaces. So, I mean, people don't just report that I have a stroke or whatever that. It must have been problems that have been going through your body for a while, and that day just signal that I've had it, I can't take it anymore, and it manifests. So before anything manifests, it must have been going. That's why we recommend that please have your annual checkup and make sure you know your numbers. Doc, I don't know whether you have any closing remarks before we shut off.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Preston. Just want to reiterate on what we discussed earlier, that people should take care of their health. Be conscious of what you want, with your health, and make conscious, action towards it. Don't, be so to speak, being too religious, not to follow what you need to do. Because I know we from African descent, we want to say it's not my portion. It's not
that's a punchline, Doc. That's a punchline.
It's not my portion, but you have to do what you need to do to keep yourself, healthy, which is very important. God even is telling us to help our body, because our body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. So
Wow.
I wish everyone well, and I think we'll keep on, informing you, and we pray that you will keep those things at your fingertips and make good use of them. Thank you so much.
That's a very huge punchline you brought. I'm glad you brought that just at the end of our discussion, but we may have to look into spirituality and health, where it falls, where we have to put the dichotomy, or where we have to put a fine line. Because just recently, a friend of mine had another friend who called her to come and help her because she was going through medical crisis. And when she got there, this lady was telling her, just pray for me and I should be fine. The lady was so smart. She said, no, I'll pray for you, but I'm going to call 911. Whilst they are coming to pick you up, I'm praying. That was a very smart move. So when she went to the emergency, the doctors were saying that you did a very good job, because if she had just listened to the woman just saying, pray for me, it's good, prayer is good. But she was smart to say, okay, I'll pray for you, but I have to let the medical people do what they have to. So it's very important that we know when to put in or apply spirituality and when we have to go by the natural laws which God has actually talented doctors to take care of. So don't be too spiritual, like he said. If a doctor has to work on you, it's a doctor. If God wants to heal you at that moment, it is. But then please don't take your life for a chance. It is not how many lives you can have. You have only one. So make sure you are applying all the laws of nature. Thank you very much. I'm glad you brought that up. So we'll look into that someday, because it's very important, especially our African people. It's not my portion. They will just stay there and just confess, which is good, but then you have to do the needful. You might be confessing and poor, you'll be gone. We don't want that. So we have to do what is necessary. Thank you very much, Doc. I'll see you next time. Have a good evening. And have a good Sunday. All right.
You too. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye for now. Bye.
Bye.